Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple. That's your no shit gaming news video. 3 news stories in one video with 0 faff. Somewhere within Square Enix's Avengers game, there's a pretty decent superhero action-adventure experience. However, it's buried deep below a bunch of games-as-a-service crap and a mountain of technical issues. According to Steam charts, the game has now dropped below 1,000 players on PC, which is reportedly causing massive matchmaking issues. Even at its peak with 28,000 players at launch, the game still had a bunch of matchmaking problems. I was playing on console and still didn't manage to play with a single person for about a week. After multiple bug-filled beta tests, the game still shipped with many issues, and after a ton of updates, the game still runs piss poorly. The game is repeating all the same mistakes we've seen from familiar offenders like Anthem, Fallout 76, Destiny, The Division, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, the list goes on, and you've heard them all before. The game is built to be a 4-player cooperative experience with each player controlling a different hero. That means that playing with other people is really important. Some PC players are reporting matchmaking times of up to 30 minutes, which is absolutely outrageous. On console, the situation isn't quite as bad due to the larger pool of players, but only a handful of times did I ever have a full 4-person team. And even then, not once did it last through the whole level, as someone always dropped out, which often broke the entire game. You can play Marvel's Avengers solo if you want to, but it's a significantly worse experience as your AI companions do little more than just punch things, and there is no way to give them commands. I unfortunately resorted to using AI companions more often than not because I'd rather just play the game rather than sitting there waiting 10 minutes to get even a single person to play with. In missions, there are some doors that only certain characters can open, which is supposed to encourage cooperative play, but if you're playing solo and not physically controlling that character yourself, you'll miss out on whatever's inside. And in a game where loot is absolutely everything, that's a big problem. Loot has been a huge issue since launch, and it always is with these games, so why do they keep getting made if virtually no one can get it right? After raising several characters to the level cap of 50 and pushing their power level well above 100, I never once found any loot that actually felt game-changing or altered my playstyle in the slightest. I haven't unlocked a single piece of exotic gear loot, and I'm glad that I didn't grind for it because everyone I see that has found some seems to be really disappointed. And even getting any loot that has the right random numbers to boost your vague power level still takes a hefty amount of grind, doing the exact same missions in the exact same locations over and over again. They did add a new mission known as the Mega Hive, which is a survival mission where all your heroes go in solo, and each time one dies, the next one takes their place. That sounds like a pretty decent mission design, but the catch is that all of your heroes need to have a power level of over 140. Getting your characters to be that strong is a huge grind, and you have to do it with each of them, so ultimately, what's the f***ing point? Many are even reporting that even after all that hard work, the Mega Hive just glitched out anyway and all progress was lost. It's at that point where I just stopped playing, and I'll certainly jump back in to check out the new characters, but my bar is set very low, and I don't expect to be hooked in for the long haul. Kotaku received a statement from Crystal Dynamics studio head Scott Amos explaining that they think PC players will return. Okay Scott, I'm sure you're right about that one, buddy. I'll leave the full statement on screen if you want to read it in full, but it's a pretty bare bones standard PR response, so I'm not going to read it all to you. We are confident that we'll see PC players, as well as those on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, return to the game as we add exciting new late game content and demonstrate that we continue to be focused on improving the game. By the end of October, we're supposed to get a brand new hero in the form of Kate Bishop Hawkeye, shortly followed by Clint Barton Hawkeye, as well as a new blog post coming next week explaining new content. Adding new characters is all well and good, but if the game is still broken and no one is playing it, then it doesn't help anyone. I was lucky as Square Enix supplied me with a review code for the game back at launch, and thank you for that, but as I said in my review, it's just not worth the asking price at this point. If and when they fix all the bugs, matchmaking problems, and lack of content, it might be worth a look, but until then, it's just not worth your time. Have you been playing it, or have you just been enjoying the events of Anthem repeat themselves? I really want the game to be good. I love superheroes, but this game just ain't it, chief. Hopefully, it will get there at some point soon and pull a No Man's Sky, but right now, I have a lot of doubts.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
And next up, mini versions of classic consoles have been all the rage for the past few years, even though for the life of me I can't figure out why. They're mostly always met with some form of backlash, and they've never been something that interests me personally, but here we are. After launching the Mega Drive Mini, or the Genesis Mini for North America, in 2019, and the even smaller but more controversial Game Gear Micro exclusively in Japan earlier this year, the company seems to be teasing the Dreamcast Mini as its next shrunken system. Speaking with Japanese magazine Famitsu, Sega's Yosuke Okunari name-dropped the Dreamcast Mini as a potential new release for the company. Translated from Japanese by Siliconera, he said, "I think for the next one we may go with a concept close to the Mega Drive Mini. If I have to say some names, it could be an SG-1000 Mini or a Dreamcast Mini." The SG-1000 was Sega's first home console, which launched back in 1983, but was only available in a handful of regions like Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. Okunari also said that whatever the next mini console is, it won't be coming for a while, as it will be much bigger in scope than the Game Gear. The Game Gear Micro is sold only domestically in Japan. When we do the next one, I feel like the project scope will be much bigger as we gaze upon the world. So we won't be able to release it at this time next year or 2 years after the Mega Drive Mini. We can't make it that quickly. The Dreamcast is often forgotten about in video games discourse, but the platform was a big part of my childhood. My stepbrother, who's the exact same age as me, has always been a huge retro gamer, so when I went to my dad's every other weekend, we'd play on his Dreamcast religiously. We'd play classics like Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio, Power Stone, which on a side note desperately needs a new game, Capcom, Choo Choo Rocket, Virtua Fighter, and Sega Rally. But more important than all of those was Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. I have very, very vivid memories of those games, particularly the ending of Sonic Adventure 2, where Super Sonic and Super Shadow team up to take out the final Hazard boss. We took it in turns, with me playing as Sonic, then swapping to him as Shadow, but ultimately I got the final hit to finish off the boss, and that's a fact he's still bitter about to this day.
I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just want you to understand.
On the topic of Sonic Adventure, fans are speculating that Sonic Adventure 3 may finally be happening. In true internet fashion though, none of this is ever simple. The official Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter page tweeted an image of Super Sonic saying it was aesthetically pleasing based on the golden ratio. Very nice indeed. But some fans took a closer look and spotted a number 3 written on the bottom of his cheek and have taken this as a clue for the return of Sonic Adventure. However, others have pointed out that this may just be an error in failing to erase the golden ratio numbers. Fans have been asking for Sonic Adventure 3 for years, and hell, they've been begging for a half-decent Sonic game for years. I feel like this probably isn't Sonic Adventure 3, but I do love watching people extrapolate elaborate fan theories from this sort of stuff. But considering the success of the Sonic movie earlier this year, it would make sense to launch a new mainline game with the character. What do you think? Are you one of the 6 people in the world who actually likes the Dreamcast, or could you not care less about the future of the Blue Hedgehog? And finally, with Cyberpunk 2077 just over a month away, excitement for the game continues to build. Next week we'll see the 4th episode of the Night City Wire livestream, and this one is all about the vehicles. The Cyberpunk official Twitter account tweeted, "The 4th episode of Night City Wire is coming next Thursday, October the 15th at 6 PM Central European Summertime. This time we'll go into details about the looks, sounds, and specs of Cyberpunk 2077 vehicles. As usual, you can expect new gameplay footage, announcements, and more." Transportation is a hugely important part of any open world game, especially one as dense as Cyberpunk appears to be. So long as when I summon my car on command, it doesn't miraculously appear on top of a roof as Roach did in The Witcher 3, then I will be happy. It is still disappointing that customizable cars are no longer a thing, as you can customize virtually everything else about the game, but this is something I could easily see being added as an additional post-launch feature. CD Projekt has promised extensive paid and free DLC, so I really wouldn't be surprised if this was among them, and the same goes for a third-person view. Nevertheless, even if that doesn't happen, if I can get myself a fat muscle car and a powerful motorcycle, then I'll be satisfied. And that's it for today. If you like this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost, hit subscribe and the bell to stay notified about all future installments, toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. I've been Henry Cooper. That's all for today. Bye for now.